Gananam tva ganapatigum havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam jistarajam brahmam brahmaspata anashrivanuti vishiri saranam om, om. Hi, good morning. I'm Tracy. I've been doing a Sunday morning yoga class for around 20 years, and today we're going to look at ideas around what's called karma yoga. If you haven't done a class with me before, I work with traditions like Kriya and Tantra that are physical things you can do with your body, specific positions, actions you can do that will make you superhuman. It sounds like a sort of a tall order, but it works. And so try it out today. And I'm going to do my best to make this sort of a non-denominational practice, and also a non-health or age-specific practice. So no matter what level of health you're at, no matter what age you're at, hopefully you'll be able to get benefit from what we're doing today. So when I chanted right there at the beginning, that was me saying, whatever wisdom I have, whatever teachers have given me knowledge, may it come through me in the best possible way. May you hear what I have to say. May it serve you. Also, I'm going to chant Ong Namo Guru Dev Namo, which to me means there is something more than myself in the universe, and I acknowledge it. I do that particular chant because that's what my teachers did. You don't need to do this in order to get the benefits of the practice. But if you'd like to, go ahead and tune in with me. Close your eyes. The act of closing our eyes is symbolic of stepping away from the day-to-day concerns, anxieties, and usual mental patterns. We're starting to turn down the amount that our senses affect us and see what we can find that's inside ourselves. In particular, we're looking for wisdom that's already there. Right now, closing the eyes may simply be symbolic of disconnecting from the normal activities of life, but over time, your nervous system will actually change so that your senses are not as impacted by the outside world. Another technique we're going to use consistently in this class and in all my classes is using the most basic meditation there is, which is listening to your breath. So do that now. You don't need to change anything. You just need to sharpen your attention and focus so that the main thing in your mind is your breath. What all can you notice about your breath? What is the sound? What happens in your body when you breathe? How does it feel in different parts of your body as the breath goes in and the breath goes out? And if you've done this a good bit, you might even be able to feel the beat of your heart and the relationship of the breath and the heartbeat. It's the most basic rhythm in the world. It is the rhythm that every one of us is synchronized to from when we're in utero, before we're born. All right, good. So hopefully we're in a slightly calmer, more focused, more centered place. And we'll go ahead and chant. If you know this chant, we'll do it on one breath. Inhale. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Namo Gurudeva Namo. Namo Gurudeva Namo. Great. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure our backs are nice and flexible. So if you need to stay seated in a chair, stay seated in a chair and just put your feet flat on the floor and your hands on your knees. Otherwise, if you don't need to do that, come onto your hands and knees. Make sure your hands are directly below your shoulders. Go ahead and look and make sure that's the case. Make sure that your knees are right below your hips. Go ahead and look. Make sure that's the case. All right, so we're going to move our backs with our breath. And we're going to take about 5 seconds moving in each direction. So when you exhale, you're going to round your back. And you're going to use your stomach muscles to pull your head and your thighs closer towards each other. And then taking 5 seconds, flatten your back out. And then bring the back of your head and your tailbone as close to each other as you can by contracting the muscles along the spine. This is a nice big inhale. And then as you start to exhale, go the other way. Taking the head and the thighs closer to each other by pulling your belly towards your spine. And then taking your head and your tailbone closer towards each other, even more. See if you can do it even more by taking by engaging the muscles of the spinal column. Great. And just keep going. So we're loosening up stiffness in the spine. We're making sure that all of the nerves that come out of the spinal column are decompressed. Great. Come to neutral. And again, you can do this if you're sitting in a chair or with your hands and knees on the floor. Sickle to the side so that one shoulder and hip come towards each other. And then go the other direction. Use the muscles in your side body to get your hip and your shoulder as close to each other as you can. Squeeze. Inhale as you move through the center. Exhale as you squeeze the other side. Great. And then if you'd like to do any of those movements quickly, if there's any other movement you'd like to make so that your spine feels free and mobile, do those movements. All right. We're going to do, sometimes it's called thread the needle, a basic hatha stretch for the shoulders and the spine, but we're going to do it from child's pose or from sitting in a chair. So you're going to take your left hand off the floor and slide it through the opening between your right hand and knee. And then keep sliding that hand further and further away from you so that you get this great twist in your back. If you've got the balance for it, you can take your arm up in the air. If it feels like you're going to get more out of the pose, you can straighten your leg. Great. Work your way out of it. Do the same thing on the other side. Good. And then come back into child's pose. We're going to work with an idea from what's called karma yoga, which means doing whatever you are currently doing with total devotion and dedication to doing it completely perfect, without thoughts of anything else, and especially without thoughts about any reward you might get for doing that action. With karma yoga, a lot of times the example that is given is a humble street sweeper, and that the street sweeper does his or her job with a sense of dedication that seems out of place with the humbleness of their work. It's through this sense of being totally present and committed to whatever we're doing at the moment that helps us start to unravel what our knee-jerk reactions are in our behavior, and also why we do things. Are we doing things for a particular outcome or particular gain? All right, so we're going to move through a series, a different way of doing triangle pose than you might have done it before. And as you're doing it, I encourage you to use this idea of doing it with total dedication, being completely focused on what's happening in the moment. You have a goal, which for me is going to be to improve my personal self for the benefit of improving all the persons of the world. So figure out what your goal is, put 100% into that goal, and then you have to not care what happens. All right, so we're going to come up to standing. This is a slightly different way of doing, so coming up to standing, and this is going to be a slightly different way of doing triangle pose, and maybe mixing it up this way will help you to focus in a different way. If you have high blood pressure or are just not feeling great, you can do this seated in a chair. Or you can just not do it at all and just sit and visualize yourself doing it. And notice how great of an outcome you can get from that. So we're going to be kind of flowing back and forth, side to side with this variation of triangle pose. Go ahead and take one foot or the other and turn it so that the toes are pointing to the side, and then take your arms up, and you want your arms to be perfectly straight, and at least for this portion to stay perfectly straight the whole time. So we're going to bend directly over to the toes that are pointing out to the side, and we're going to bend that knee. So usually in triangle pose we don't bend. What you're going to shoot for is getting your hand all the way to the floor, both arms straight, and the knee can be as bent as you like. If you want to have a block or something underneath his hand so it's a little bit easier, feel free to do that. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we worked with Mul Band, or how to stabilize and be stronger in this pose by the position of your body, of your hips in particular. So notice that the classic thing that happens here is your booty sticks way out. So take your bottom and hips so that they're more underneath you. Or another way to say that is you're drawing them underneath, tucking them under a little bit. Do that. Notice that you might feel more stable and stronger in the position. And then from your pubic bone, feel like you're using muscles to pull your pubic bone up towards your heart. Oh, sorry, that was a long time there. Okay, come all the way back up. Switch your feet around. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. Exhale when you go down. Inhale when you come up. Switch your feet again. Go this way. Each time you come down, do that tuck of the hip and the pull of the pubic bone up. Tuck the hips under. Draw the pubic bone up towards your chest. One more time to each side. Hello. last time to the other side. Good. And then come back up. Great. Rest your arms for a second. We're going to do 3 more side to side with a different variation. Arms up. Turn the feet, 1 foot pointing to the side. Come down into the pose. Correct your hips. And then reach the upper arm like you're trying to touch the side wall. Take your arm back up. Come all the way upright. Switcheroo. Go to the other side. Check your hips every time. Reach through that side arm. Great. So this series is great for everything in the waist. Reach, reach, reach. Keep the hips tucked under. Great. Come all the way back up. 1 more time to each side. And notice that you can be doing this in a chair. You just have your knees wide apart. Oops, reach. Great. Come back up, relax the arms. Your feet can be a little bit narrower for this next one. Hands on the hips. Again, turn 1 set of your toes to the side. And we're going to slide this arm down. And this time, try to keep that leg straight. Try and keep the leg that's pointing to the side, the toes pointing to the side straight. So as this arm slides down, the other arm slides up towards your armpit. Inhale and come back up, and the hands go back to the waist. Switcheroo your feet. Side to side. It's, there'll be a oops, I forgot to do that, sorry. There we go. There'll be a tendency to tip a little bit forward. Do your best to make sure that the movement's totally lateral. Directly over to the side. 1 more time this way. Excellent. Good. Bring your feet parallel or facing forward, maybe a tiny bit open to the sides. Interlace your fingers behind your back. And again, you can do this in a chair, or if you're worried about blood pressure, then you can just be seated on the floor so that your head doesn't go below your heart, and you'll just fold forward. So folding over, exhale, reach your arms up as high as they'll go. Inhale, come back up. Exhale over. Inhale up. Great, come back up. All right, just a couple more here. Arms out to the side, and we're going to fold so that our upper body's parallel to the floor. And then swivel so that one hand comes toward the floor, and you can bend that knee if you need to, and try and look up towards the hand that's raised up towards the ceiling. And again, if you're seated in a chair, you can come up with a variation of this. Go the other direction. Keeping the back parallel to the floor as you switch from side to side. So this is an inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Great. Come all the way back up. Almost done. One last practice to do. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Elbows are drawn back so that your chest is broad. Your feet are like in a big V shape. Perfect. Slide your hands out from under you. Roll over onto your back. We'll take a short rest. After you come onto your back, tighten all the muscles in your right leg and foot and into your right buttocks. Tighten in, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Relax it down. Take your right arm, shoulder, hand, lift it up, squeeze, compress, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Relax it down. The left leg, foot, buttocks, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it. Good, relax it. Left arm, shoulder, hand. Down, good. Torso, spine, belly, shoulders. And last but not least, face, neck, throat. Relax, and then one final time, everything. And relax. All right, now roll over to your side, bend one knee or the other, put that foot on the floor and press down into your foot to help you roll over. We're going to do two, I think, particularly fun breath preparation practices. So the first one is to get our right nostril to be really open and breath moving freely in and out of that nostril. So to do that, you're going to take your left hand and stick it in your right armpit. And just the weight of your arm hanging down, your thumb will be out of your armpit. Just the weight of your arm squishing your fingers into the side of your ribs is enough to get the benefit that we're looking for. And then you have to take your other hand sort of over to the other side, and we're going to close our left nostril. So right armpit has the squish happening. You're going to use your right hand to close your left nostril and inhale in through the right. Exhale left. Go back to inhaling every time through the right. Exhaling through the left. Every time, inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Exhale left. Keep going like that. Having the left hand in the right armpit helps to open the passageway to make the right nostril have more air flowing in and out of it. Good, keep going just like you are and start working with the mental part of this. Think about that the goal here is to have more air going in and out of the right nostril, and that in relationship to that, it's going to make your nervous system more balanced. This is going to bring tone and balance to the sympathetic nervous system. You don't necessarily need to know what that means. Just know that it will bring you to a greater state of calm and balance. With every breath, complete dedication to this idea that you're working towards a greater sense of balance and peace. Just a little bit longer. This is a great thing to do if you ever need to get more awake and focused and you're feeling sluggish and tired. And one more in and one more out. Excellent. Relax both hands down. Pause for a second. We're going to do the same thing now, just reversing it all, working with the breath in the left nostril. Okay, so your right hand goes in your left nostril, thumbs out, fingers are in your armpit, and the weight of your arm pressing down is enough to create the impact that we're looking for. Take your left hand over, close the right nostril and breathe in. Breathing in through the left, switch, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the left, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the left, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the left. Breathe in through the left, breathe out through the right. Breathe in left. Breathe out right. Keep going. Again, work with the mental component of this, total dedication to the outcome, total dedication to your goal, which is balancing this parasympathetic nervous system. Again, you don't need to know what all that means, just knowing that this takes you to a place where you feel calm and energized, peaceful and focused. Anytime that you're feeling like your blood pressure is high, or you're feeling anxious, or you can't sleep, any of those sort of worked up states, this breathing through the left side is going to be a great benefit. We've got a couple more minutes to go, about a minute and a half. You can start to stretch your breath out as you're doing this. So make the inhale a little bit longer, a little bit more stretched out. Same thing with the exhale. And say to yourself, with every breath in, with every breath out, you are becoming more and more relaxed. Perfect. Relax your hands down. You can just sit for a second and enjoy how you feel. You might be aware of feeling different. If you don't do a lot of sitting on the floor, you might need to give your knees and feet a break, extend your legs out. We've been working a lot over the last couple of months with increasing the flexibility of the hips. And so if you want to work with one of those techniques for a second here, we'll have a chance to do this between several of the next sequences that we do. If you're enjoying sitting still, maintaining that inner calm and focus, that is also a great option. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is called prana mudra. And I will say the translation of this is invocation of energy. So today and for the next several weeks, we're going to be looking at how can we harness more of our energy? How can we create more energy, vitality, aliveness in our body? How can we channel that? How can we harness it? How can we be motivated? All right, so for this one hand rests in the other hand in your lap. And this mudra also is one for bringing balance. Kind of rides on the tail of what we just did. For those of you who know Mul Bandh, we're going to be using Mul Bandh. If you don't know what that means, then you don't need to worry about it right now. Take a really deep inhale. When you exhale, squeeze all of the air out. And if you know Mul Bandh, this is when you would apply it. You're going to pull the belly back towards the spine, and you're going to hold your breath out for as long as you can without it feeling like a strain. And then when you're ready to inhale, it's going to be a slow, steady inhale. Your hands will separate, and it's going to feel like you're pulling energy up your spine. You might see it as golden light or fluid. When your hands get to the level of your throat, let them separate. Feel like you can see golden light up to the top of your head. Then when you're ready to exhale, bring the hands in the exact opposite sequence down. See the golden light descending back down to your pelvis. Hold your breath out, and if you know Mul Bandh, apply Mul Bandh. The breath stays out for as long as you can hold it comfortably, and then when you're ready to inhale, separate the hands. Visualize, have a sense of, use the hands like a magnet, pulling energy up through the spine. If you're familiar with chakras, up through the chakras. When you get to the throat, separate the hands, see the golden light in the top of your head. Reverse that when you're ready to exhale. Let that golden energy and light descend back down. Hold the breath out for as long as you need to. As long as you can. Contracting Mul Bandh. When you're ready to inhale, you can release Mul Bandh. Hands come up. Golden light, exhale. Mul Bandh with the breath held out. If you know Shambhavi Mudra, use Shambhavi Mudra. Great, and now you can sit in a relaxed way, or if you need to flex your hips, then you can do that. So extending one leg out, taking the other foot in. Great, extend that leg out. Great, okay. For those of you who like to use Siddhasana or Padmasana, you can use one of those postures now. Otherwise, just sit however you can, where you can hold relatively still. We've been working extensively with Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, over the last month. And we're going to incorporate some additional techniques and also simplify some of what we've been doing. So we're going to break the breath into 4 parts. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold out. And for today, each of those is going to be the same length of time. So let's start with, we'll start with like 3 seconds, 3 beats for each of those segments. And what is a great technique to get the hang of it is to find your pulse. So whether that's in your wrist or in the carotid artery in your neck, see if you can find your own pulse. You may have the ability to feel the beat of your heart without even having to feel your pulse. Get the hang of the beat of your own heart. Great. And then each one of those beats will be how you can pace your breathing. So hands are typically with the middle and index finger at the forehead. Close your right nostril and we'll go in for a count of 3 through the left nostril. And then you're going to hold your breath and you're going to close both nostrils. You're going to squeeze both nostrils closed like you smell a bad smell. 1, 2, 3. Then open the right and breathe out through the right. Now pinch your nose closed again. 1, 2, 3. Now breathe in through the right nostril. Close both. 2, 3. Exhale through the left. 2, 3. Pinch the nose closed. 2, 3. Inhale left. 2, 3. Closed. 2, 3. Exhale right. 2, 3. Closed. 2, 3. Inhale right. 2, 3. Closed. 2, 3. Great. So if you've never done this before, keep going just like that. That's perfect. If you have done a lot of this, explore where the outer limit is of where the maximum length that you can have those segments. So it might be up at 10 seconds in, 10 seconds hold, 10 seconds out, 10 seconds hold out. Where you know your upper limit is where you can do it without feeling like you're increasing your tension. Every step of this should be decreasing tension. That's the whole point of it. So keep increasing the length of each of the segments until one of the segments has tension in it, and then you just back off 1 beat. So using those ideas around karma yoga, do this with total dedication, but without any attachment to the outcome. So oftentimes we're so focused on getting to the highest number that we lose track of what our goal is. Our goal is to be more and more relaxed in our breathing, in each segment of the breathing, as we slowly and gradually increase the length of time that we can do all 4 segments of the breath. If you're enjoying where you're at, feel free to just tune me out. If you are fairly accomplished with this practice, you can start using Jalandhara Bandha each time the breath is held in and each time that the breath is held out. Keep going with the practice if you are deeply engaged with it. If you're ready to rest, you can come down and relax on your back. If you are slowly, over the several weeks that we've been working with this practice, increasing the amount of time that you can retain the breath in or retain the breath out, it can help you to expand even deeper into the practice with this little trick. If you're holding your breath in and you're ready to exhale, sniff just a tiny bit more in before you start the exhale, and it allows all of the muscles of respiration that are contracted to release a little bit more easily. Similarly, if you're holding your breath out, especially on these ones where you're up to quite a long time holding your breath out, if you breathe out just a tiny bit more before you start to inhale, it can make the muscle contractions soften so that it's easier to continue with the practice. For those of you who are relaxing, keep relaxing. For those of you who are practicing, keep going for a couple more minutes. And if you'd like to use Mool Bandh and Jalandhara Bandha both, when you're holding the breath in, when you're holding the breath out, include that as well. After the next exhale, you can stop the practice. You've got a few options right now. If you are really enjoying the peaceful state that you're in and you want to stay seated and meditating, do that. If you're ready to take a little relaxation on your back, you can do that. Or if you've been working on opening through your hips and you want to encourage that opening to continue, then you can extend the legs out, and we'll repeat that same thing we just did a moment ago. So crossing one leg over and moving through range of motion with that hip. The next thing that we're going to do is chant Om. And most of the time we see that written O-M. But the actual way to pronounce it is A-U-M. So it's A, like if you were going to the doctor and he says to stick out, or she says to stick out her tongue. A, U, like pool, like we all wish we were in a swimming pool right now. Like something that tastes good. Let's try it a couple more times together. If you're working your hips, go ahead and switch legs. So, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, Aum, 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 Aum. Good. All right. The sound Om is a universal sound in Islamic traditions. It's the similar sound is A-M-I-N. In Christianity and Judaism, A-M-E-N, Amen. And in Tibetan, it's usually written as H-U-M. All three with similar meanings. That universal sound, that same thing that I referred to when we were first starting class, that there is something that is greater than myself, And that is the sound of that thing that is greater. So, if you know Siddhasana or Siddha Yoni Mudra, go ahead and come into that posture now. We're going to have about 10 minutes of chanting, and you can do it a couple of different ways. If you like, go back to feeling your own pulse, either in your wrist or your neck, or maybe you can feel the beat of your heart. So find one of those things. So you can chant in the quicker chanting of Om in sync with the beating of your own heart. And that would be something like this. Aum, Aum, Aum. If you've done a lot of meditation in the past, you might even be able to feel the very subtle pulsing that's at the spot between your eyebrows. Whatever pulsation you're focusing on, feel like the sound is coming from that the emanation comes from that beat. If chanting out loud throws you off, you can mentally chant the same thing. An alternative way to chant Om is to have it be as long as you can sustain on one given breath. And if you do it that way, then try and feel like that light that we were seeing when we were doing the prana mudra, the sound emanates from that light. And that would be a little bit more like what we did just a moment ago. If you choose to do this longer, stretched out version, you really want to feel the vibration of the in the roof of your mouth, maybe even into your whole head. And there's a fourth step, a fourth component, if you're doing the stretched out version. And that is the sound of silence, the sound of infinity as the continues out beyond where we can hear it. So we'll go ahead and start chanting now. You can feel free to do one or the other of those methods of chanting, or you can switch and do some of both. I'll start out with you and then kind of fade out while you continue chanting. Keep going on your own, either silently or out loud, either fast or long. Feel yourself to be both a transmitter and a receiver to and from whatever that is that's greater than you. With each time that you chant, feel that you are sending out a signal to the universe, to God, to that which is greater than you. And in the pause in between, feel yourself as a receptor from that same essence. If you're still chanting out loud, go to creating the sound silently inside your head. Keep going a little bit longer. We'll do 1 more minute. And if you can do it, do full Shambhavi Mudra for that minute. Relax everything. If you feel the need to lie down to relax, then you can do that. With the eyes closed, simply notice if you have a sense about your essential self, about who you are and your place in this life. This may be a very conscious awareness, or it may be simply a sense of knowing or reassurance deep inside. Whether or not you have a clear, conscious awareness of what that is, purposefully align yourself with the inner knowledge that you do at some level know your essence and your place in this life. Feel a sense of total dedication and alignment to that. It's like every cell in your body has now aligned itself so that you are vibrating, so that you are aimed toward that goal. Total commitment. And now let go to any to any idea about what that might look like. Let go of any sense of what you might get from achieving it, and think only about what you might give. If you are seated, go ahead and if you're laying down, go ahead and come back up to seated. And if you're seated, go ahead and get ready. We'll chant Satnam. I embody the ultimate truth. We'll chant Satnam one time to end our practice. Let's bow to that guidance that we each have inside of ourselves. Satnam, namaste.
Eating.
See you again.
Eating.
Oh yeah. If you want to see each other, talk about what happened during class or what's happened during the week, you can meet, do a Google Meet after this. It's going to be on the page right there. And then also, you have the option of being at some pretty advanced stages with pranayama practice. So if you are curious about where you would go next, if you feel confused about any of my descriptions, feel free to shoot me an email through my website, and I'd be happy to meet with you by email, phone, or Zoom to clarify any questions. Ciao, see you next time.